Play this record as frequently as possible.
From Columbia, South Carolina. What started in a freshman dorm room is now an official broadcast studio. Host Collin Spiker and co-host Jason Hoffman bring you Do You Agree? The sports talk show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Do You Agree? The sports talk show. Today's season 4, episode 8 for you guys. As always, I'm your host, Collin Spiker, alongside my best friend and co-host, Jason Hoffman. And if you can tell behind us, we've got a very special episode. It is the official Do You Agree? March Madness edition with our official bracket. And Jace, we've been waiting a long time to finally have this bracket right here.
How sweet is it? How sweet it is, Spike. It is finally March after over a year's time. You know, as you mentioned, COVID unfortunately took what I believe to be the greatest sporting event in the entire world away from us, but it's finally back. It's time to break out the brackets, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk you through, give us all our picks, predictions. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it.
Let's do it. We've got a majority of similar picks, but a couple upsets here and there.
Absolutely.
I've already crumpled up 4 of these today. So we got some work to do. I mean, obviously, you got the round of 64. You're starting off super easy. Overall number 1 seed Gonzaga, undefeated. I got him moving on.
Absolutely. No questions here. Has stormed through the regular season, and at least, you know, in the round of 64, not even a question. Zags.
Moving on, we got Oklahoma, Missouri. Missouri in not a hugely contested SEC this year. Oklahoma was an incredible team. They were top 10 for a majority of the season. I got Oklahoma.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I do have the Sooners taking down Mizzou in the first round. You know, the SEC has been relatively weak this year. You know, you usually come March time see it taken by storm by the Kentucky Wildcats,
right.
But that was not the case this season.
Yeah.
It's been wide open, but I still am going to go with the Big 12 and the Sooners. I got them in the round of 32.
Moving on, we got UC Santa Barbara against Creighton. This was one of the very first upsets I picked. I looked at Creighton, I was like, you know what? Not quite yet. I'm going with Creighton.
I agree. I'm a Big East basketball guy. I think the way that conference plays, just how scrappy and physical, and you know, just I love watching Big East. You know, we grew up 20 minutes down the road from Nova. I got Creighton in this one, but this is another one where I could see you know, go both ways essentially. Right. You know, it's the dreaded 5-12 matchup. But
always. At
least for this one, let's go Creighton.
Now, our first 4-13 matchup, UVA against Ohio. And Jace, I'm telling you right now, spent a lot of time on this pick.
A lot of analysts have been going, surprisingly, with the Ohio Bobcats here. But
and you know what? I'm one of those analysts.
Oh,
I'm going with
is
the
that
Bobcats.
right?
I'm going with the Bobcats. You know, the whole COVID thing with Virginia frightens me a little bit, and Ohio has had plenty of time. And you know, it's always about Maction.
Absolutely.
And Ohio looked great coming out of the MAC, and I got them with
no
the
doubt.
First upset of the tournament.
No doubt. However, I do not agree. I think that the Cavaliers of Virginia get it done. Listen, they've been here many, many times before. They know what it takes to get it done in March, and you know, I'm just a believer in the ACC when it comes to basketball. So, give me the Cavaliers. I know we defer, but we'll see what happens.
It'll be interesting to see if UVA gets bopped in the first round again. But moving on, you know, you got the 6 versus first 4 in matchup. USC, I got USC moving on. And then moving down, you got Kansas against Eastern Washington. I got the Jayhawks. I think those are pretty easy answers, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Southern Cal for me as well. And, of course, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, baby.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Come on.
Moving on, we got Oregon, VCU, as well as Iowa. I mean, we won't even spend time on the Hawkeyes. They got potentially the best player in the entire country.
Man, an absolute bucket for them all year. The senior has been willing them all the way. Absolutely, give me Iowa.
But looks like right here, we got another, we're not agreeing too much on that page. I got the Rams. Their defense has been just outstanding this year. Yeah, they turn it over from time to time on offense, but but that defense is dangerous.
Yeah, I totally agree. However, I got to go with the Ducks here of Oregon. I love the way that they play. They always seem to have guard play. And I am a firm believer that if you want to make a run in the NCAA tournament, you have to have guard play, number one, most importantly, especially with the way that now the game is played with the three-point line. So give me the Ducks.
Well, we got a first round in the West taken care of. Let's move down here to the East. Majority of these picks we have the same. We got Michigan. We got the 9 seed, the Bonnies, moving on over LSU. Down here, first upset, I got Georgetown over Colorado, first upset in the East.
Yeah, and you know what, Spike? The 5-12 dreaded matchup.
Always.
I'm rocking with you. I'm going with the Hoyas as well.
Patrick Ewing is going to do something special with this team. Down here, I got Florida State Seminoles, pretty easy. BYU against that winner. Give me the Cougars. Down here, Texas, as well as UConn. And then all the way on the bottom, the 2 seed, the Crimson Tide, winning the SEC. I got them moving on as well.
Absolutely. I mean, they've sat atop of the SEC for pretty much the entirety of the year. And you know what? I don't see them falling at least in the first 2 rounds. No way.
So it looks like, at least in the East, we both have our similar picks, especially with that 5-12 matchup like you mentioned. There's always one 12 seed that comes out on top. Let's move to your side of the bracket. Kick us off with the South.
Yeah, absolutely. So we start with the South, right? We got Baylor Bears. I mean, this team has been absolutely dominating all season long, and no question here. Yeah. No question. Give me the Bears. All right. Then we move on to UNC, right, who we normally think of as a lock for a number 1 seed in the tournament. Not the case this year. And they square up. They got a tough matchup with the Wisconsin Badgers, Spike. And I think the Badgers get it done and shock the Tar Heels here.
I'm going with you. Obviously, the ACC, not as strong as it typically is, and the Big Ten, way stronger than it usually is. I think the Badgers are going to have a little bit of a fun night against the Tar Heels.
Absolutely. And then we move on. A matchup that is very, very interesting here. Our pride and true Villanova Wildcats going up against Winthrop.
The Eagles.
Let me tell you, Winthrop is not a team to sleep on. However, Jay Wright and March. That's all I need to say.
We've had this conversation before. We've had this conversation before.
He's up.
Jay Wright is one of those coaches where you just do not mess with in March. But I'm gonna test the waters a little bit. I'm gonna mess with them. I'm picking the Winthrop Eagles.
Wow.
To upset our home team 20 minutes down the road, Villanova.
Wow.
They get knocked.
Wow. I did not see that coming, but hey, it's just a couple days away. We shall see. All right, moving on. We got the Texas Tech Red Raiders going up against Utah State here.
Give me Texas Tech.
Absolutely.
Mac McClung, he's had a phenomenal year after transferring from Georgetown. I think it was a smart move for him personally, and I give it to him.
Absolutely. Moving on, we got Arkansas, the Razorbacks out of the SEC going up against Colgate at number 14, who has made some noise. Spike, what do you got for this?
I got Colgate. I got the upset.
I agree. Give me the upset here. I love how this team has came out and played throughout the entirety of the year. And you know what? You got to have a couple upsets sprinkled in that first round. Cool. So, moving on. We got Florida, the Gators out of the SEC going up against the Hokies of Virginia Tech. I got the Hokies here.
I got VT. Let's keep it moving.
Absolutely.
We're right there, same page.
To end off the South, we have the Buckeyes of Ohio State going up against Oral Roberts.
You know, Oral Roberts, not looking too strong this year. They do have the number 1 scorer in D1. That's nothing against the Buckeyes.
I totally agree. They were one of my teams that I picked for a shot to make it to the Final Four a couple episodes ago. Go Buckeyes. All right, moving on now to the Midwest. All right, we have, the Fighting Illini of Illinois. I love this team, no question here. I'll get to them much, much more as we go, but I assume you don't have any discrepancies.
Let's keep them
Absolutely.
going.
And now, the Loyola Chicago boys and Sister Jean, who will be making an appearance this year at the tournament in Indianapolis. Could we see a repeat of the Cinderella squad?
You know, I would love to. Do I think it'll happen? Maybe not after the first round. They will win this game. I think this is going to be one of the most entertaining 8-9 games of the entire tournament. I love Georgia Tech. They play rough. They play scrappy. They got a lot of leaders on that team. But when you got Sister Jean in attendance, give me Sister Jean.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. All right. Moving on now. Again, another squad in the SEC. We got the Tennessee Volunteers going up against Oregon State. I got the SEC again. Give me the Vols.
I got the Vols as well. Oregon State, you know, came out and surprised a lot of people, won the Pac-12 championship, but it's Tennessee.
All right, awesome. Moving on. Another 4-13 matchup here that we were kind of, you had some discrepancies before the show. Let's see what you got. OK State, I know you were high on them earlier, going up against Liberty, who, again, not a team to mess around with. Who do you got?
Definitely not a team to mess with, Liberty. And I said this a couple episodes ago. Oklahoma State was one of my dark horse teams, and they proved to me exactly that. They had a phenomenal stretch to end the season. Great play up until the Big 12 championship. But Chase, this is probably the worst team they could have matched up with as a 13 seed. Liberty is, you said it yourself, not someone to mess with. They've had phenomenal history in March in the tournament. And it hurts me to say this because you know how high I was on Oklahoma State, but Liberty, they're going to keep that run going.
You got another 4-13 upset? All right.
That's two.
I disagree with you again on this one. I'm going to go OK State, just been how solid they've been all throughout the year. But we'll see. All right, moving on. So we have San Diego State, who's made another team making a bunch of noise throughout the entirety of the year, going up against the Syracuse Orange. Syracuse, let's face it, it's not their year. It's not their year this year. And San Diego State has been roaring hot. It's no question for me. San Diego State.
Love the Aztecs. Great mentality, almost as always every year. You said it yourself. The Orange, good team. Surprised they got a bid. Not gonna lie. I like the Aztecs, and let's just keep the ball rolling. West Virginia, Morehead State. Awesome. Congratulations on the bid. Not gonna do anything.
No, not. How talented that Mountaineer squad is, no question here. All right. Clemson, Rutgers. For me, speaking, there's no way I'm gonna put my heart and soul into the Clemson Tigers, being Gamecocks here.
Absolutely.
However, it is March. You have to put your personal feelings aside. However, I do feel like the Scarlet Knights could come out and give them a run for their money, and I think they beat them. I think they beat Clemson. So give me Rutgers, man. Give me Rutgers here.
Give me the Scarlet Knights marching over the Tigers. I don't think Clemson deserves a bid. They lost in the first round of the ACC tournament, which says a lot, especially this year. Rutgers started off hot, kind of lost their step, but they started getting it back and at the perfect time. So I'm right there, Rutgers.
100%. And to close out the round of 64, the first round, we have Houston against Cleveland State.
Houston Cougars, one of the better teams in the country, in my opinion. They haven't had those huge wins, but those wins that they do have are always consistent. Give me the Cougs.
Absolutely, not a doubt. I have them moving on, and I have them going significantly far. So, Cougars all the way.
Round of 64 is done. We're going to get back to you guys, and we're going to kick it off, stick with the West bracket for a little bit. We'll be right back. And we're back. We are kicking off the second round in the West, the round of 32. Up here, Jace, we got the Zags, Sooners. Like we said earlier, Zags are having a season.
Absolutely. I think there's no question here. Again, I'm not fully sold on them. I never will be until they move out of that goddarn West Coast Conference. However, they got no problems here. Zags roll.
We got Creighton, and then obviously I have the upset here. I got Virginia losing to Ohio in the first round, so I'm going to have Creighton, the Blue Jays, moving on over Ohio. Do you have a different matchup?
No, I totally agree with you. Creighton, again, just how the Big East plays, I got them. No question here. UVA is not talented enough this year to make a run.
Moving on, we got USC, Kansas, two pretty easy picks for us in the first round. I'm going to go with the Rock Chalk Jayhawks. Evan Mobley, phenomenal player. I don't know if he can get it done against Kansas.
No, absolutely. Rock Chalk Jayhawk is absolutely right. Give me Kansas moving on to the Sweet 16.
And then I got VCU down here against Luka Garza and the Hawkeyes. We both have different teams here. I don't think it matters down here. I got Iowa.
Yeah, no question here. Garza has been, as we said, earlier, no question. Give me the Hawkeyes.
All right, that's going to do it for the West. Let's move on to the East. Moving on down the left side of your bracket, we are in the East now. Looking up here, we're going to have Michigan against the Bonnies. Without Isaiah Livers, Michigan, not one of my top teams anymore, but against the Bonnies, not so sure. Give me the Wolverines.
Yeah, I really love the energy around St. Bonaventure and those Bonnies, but as you said, Michigan Star is out. So, yeah, they're going to struggle, but not in the round of 32. Go Big Blue.
Now, we got the Hoyas, our upset against Colorado, taking on the Seminoles of Florida State. I know Seminoles are one of your teams. I'm going to have them moving on.
They sure are. I love Florida State, and, we'll get to them in a second, but they're moving on to the Sweet 16.
Down here, big 6-3 matchup. We got BYU against the Longhorns. A lot of people are talking about BYU, Jace.
They are, and, I am going to as well. I love what the Cougars have came out and been able to show us all year, and it's all about who gets out at the right time. These guys are hot, so we'll see.
They had that incredible halftime lead against Gonzaga, and man, do I love Texas, but I'm worried they're going to be one of those teams that sees one of those way too early exits. I got them losing to BYU as well. I got BYU moving on. And our last matchup, UConn, Bama. You got the SEC against the Huskies. Not a team to mess with, especially as of late. What are you thinking?
Not a shot. However, I'm going with the guys that have sat atop of the SEC. Roll Tide. I think, as good as UConn is when it comes March, these guys, it's their year. Roll Tide.
What they're doing down there in Tuscaloosa is it's getting serious. They're starting to turn not just into a football school, but potentially a basketball school. That's for another episode. But I got the Tide as well.
Roll Tide.
Let's move on to the right side of the bracket. Let's hit it, the South.
Let's move on to the South, right? So we got Baylor facing up against the Badgers of Wisconsin. I think it's no question here. The Baylor Bears have been absolutely electric all year long, and I think they get it done and punch their ticket to the Sweet 16.
One of my favorite teams. They're mesmerizing on offense and can turn it on defense. Give me Baylor.
Absolutely. So then you look forward. Our Villanova boys, who I have, however, you diverge here on that, going up against the Purdue Boilermakers. Who do we got?
I got Purdue moving on simply because I still have Winthrop over the Wildcats, so give me the Boilermakers.
I disagree. I have the Villanova Wildcats and Jay Wright figuring out, punching their ticket to the next round. However, we'll see how it plays out.
We shall.
Then, moving on, we got Texas Tech Red Raiders going up against Colgate. I think it's no question here. I think the Red Raiders get it done.
Yeah, you always have those 14 seeds that make noise, but it seems like once they get that first win, you can't figure it out past there. Give me Texas Tech.
Absolutely. And then finishing off the round of 32 in the South, we have the Virginia Tech Hokies facing up against the Buckeyes of Ohio State. For me, again, this was one of my Final Four possibilities here. I got the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Give me the poisonous nuts.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the final side of your bracket with the round of 32 remaining, Midwest. We're getting closer and closer to the Sweet 16. We got one round of 32 group left. It's down here in the Midwest. Kick it off, Jason.
Absolutely. So starting off, we have the Fighting Illini of Illinois squaring up against Sister Jean and the boys. I think it's no question here. Give me the Fighting Illini.
I'm right there with you. Unfortunate that Sister Jean isn't able to see another miraculous run, but Illinois, they're a good team.
They are. They sure are. We'll get to them in a second. Moving on, we got the Tennessee Volunteers facing up against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. This is a tough one here. However, I'm going to stick with the Volunteers again.
Yeah, I'm going to go right there with you. Obviously, I have Liberty with that upset. Obviously, I wish the Cowboys were there. I may have them move on, but Liberty, that matchup is hard for them. But I still got Tennessee moving on.
Absolutely. Moving on, we got the San Diego State Aztecs going up against the Mountaineers of West Virginia. This is a tough one. However, I think we agree here. Aztecs,
another big 3-6 matchup. We're liking our sixes today.
We are.
San Diego State, phenomenal team.
Absolutely.
They always get slept on. Same idea, not a great conference, but that defense is always just posturing you all day long. Love the Aztecs.
And defense wins championships.
That's what it does.
All right, so let's finish it off in the Midwest. We have the Rutgers Scarlet Red Knights against the Houston Cougars. Spike, I got Houston here. Roll Cougars.
Right there with you. Cougars are a phenomenal team. They've had their shaky moments, but against Rutgers, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
All right, we are officially moving on to the Sweet 16. We'll be back. All right, Sweet 16. Jace, here we are. Let's start off in the West. Zags, #1 overall seed, taking on, well, we got Creighton here. Same idea. Creighton's good. That #1 overall team, undefeated going into March. Give me the Zags.
Yeah, Creighton's good. They're not good enough. I hate to say it because I so don't believe in them, but Zags are moving on to the Elite Eight. I think it's no question.
Then we got Kansas, Iowa down here. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. What do you got?
You can't bet against Garza. The way they've been playing and the way this Hawkeye team has been able to kind of rally around him. I got Iowa facing up against Gonzaga in what will be a hell of an Elite Eight showdown.
I'm right there with you. It'll be a rematch in the Elite Eight. We both got the Hawkeyes. Moving on. And we're back. Sweet 16 continues now down in the East. Jace, we got Michigan, the Wolverines, without their star player Livers against the Seminoles.
And due to that, this is where I think we see our #1 Michigan Wolverines go down. I think the Florida State Seminoles get it done. They are A, athletic, B, have guard play, and C, can rebound the ball. And that there's some of the most important elements of getting it done in this tournament. I got the Seminoles, and they're not done from there.
I'm right there with you. I got Florida State. I love Michigan. I've said it in past episodes. I thought they had better chances than Gonzaga to win it all.
I totally agree.
But losing your star player, your star guard, more specifically,
That's
hurts.
crucial. That's crucial.
We got the Seminoles in the Elite Eight. Down here, we got BYU against Alabama. It's going to be a good matchup.
It is. However, as much hype as these Cougars have, I still am going to stick with the Tide, man. I think their performance in the SEC speaks to itself. Although it wasn't as competitive as years prior, you still got to hang their hat. Bama, roll Tide.
I'm not going to lie. I got this one blank. This is one of those matchups I'm not quite sure about. And you said it, looking at the SEC, pretty weak, but they were a top all year. BYU always going up against Gonzaga. It's a tough one. I'm gonna ride with BYU.
Really?
I have them beating the Crimson Tide. I think when you're able to make it past the #3 seed and you got a chance at going to the Elite Eight, I would take that. Give me BYU.
Okay, interesting.
Let's move on to the right side of our bracket. Well, it's the second half of the Sweet 16.
Let's go to the South. How about it, huh?
Shall we?
We shall. So, starting off, we have the Baylor Bears going up against what I have as Villanova, what you have as Purdue. However, our discrepancies come to no avail. I think we both got Baylor in this one.
Mesmerizing. I love that offense. Their defense can click whenever they need to. One of the best three-pointing shooting teams in the entire country. Give me Baylor.
Absolutely. However, moving down, we have Texas Tech facing up against the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think this is going to be a good one. However, I think the Buckeyes punch their ticket into the Elite Eight.
As do I. Give me the poisonous nuts. I don't think Texas Tech has got it. They've had their slip-ups this year. And against this poisonous nuts team, I don't think so.
Absolutely. So now, completing the Sweet 16, going down to the Midwest, we have what will be the Fighting Illini of Illinois going up against the Tennessee Volunteers. The way I see it, I don't think anybody is beating this Illinois team. However, we'll get to that in a second. However, give me Illinois here.
Ayo Dosunmu is one of the best in the country, putting up phenomenal 20-plus points and 10-plus rebounds. I love the Illini.
Absolutely. And then finishing it off for the Sweet 16, we have, who we're both high on, San Diego State going up against Houston. This is going to be a good one.
This could be one of those games where Houston has to backtrack and look at what happened earlier in the season when they lost. San Diego State's defense is incredible. Their shooting, I don't know if they can keep up with Houston. I got Houston.
I agree. I think as prolific and dominant and, scavenging as that San Diego State D is, you can't keep pace with how prolific that Houston offense is. Give me the Cougars.
Give me Houston down here in the Elite Eight. Well, we're almost there. We are to the Elite Eight. We got 8 teams left. We got a lot of fun matchups coming up.
We sure do.
Stay with us. Chase, we're here. We are at the Elite Eight. We're getting slimmer and slimmer, and we both have the same Final Four. Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
Up here, Zags, Hawkeyes. It's that number 1 overall seed going against one of the best in the country.
Spike, this is going to be such a great matchup to watch here, if it happens, of course. But I got to give it to the unbeaten Zags. I have to. However, next round, we'll get there in a second, different case. But Zags are in the Final Four.
Yeah, this would be a phenomenal rematch from earlier in the season. You said it yourself, if this happens, it'd be a great game. Both teams can make adjustments to what happened in the beginning of the season, but not when you have an unbeaten team. Zags, first team, into the Final Four. Next up, down here in the East, we got Florida State, and I got BYU down here, and you have Bama down here, but we both have the Seminoles heading to the Final Four.
We sure do. I am so high on these guys, and I said it speaking about the Sweet 16. They have the most important attributes to make a run in March, and that's what it comes down to, Spike. So Seminoles, they're dancing. They're in the Final Four, baby.
We got the Zags and the Seminoles heading on to the Final Four over here. Let's move on to your side of the bracket. Up here we got Bears, Buckeyes. I got Baylor.
I couldn't agree more. The Baylor Bears they're so athletic. They can rebound. They can get up the floor, fly up and down. Baylor Bears are in the Final Four. I don't see how it could happen any other way.
And finally, down here in the Midwest, Illinois against Houston, which I don't know, that other game in the Sweet 16, San Diego State-Houston, could see a different team down here. But overall, in the Final Four, give me the Fighting Illini.
Absolutely. I think, look, these guys are another team like Florida State. They have the most crucial aspects to go far in this tournament. They have the guard play. They have athleticism. They can rebound the ball at such an efficient rate. I mean, this team is fun to watch. They are fun to watch. So I got the Illini in the Final Four as one of 3 number 1 seeds in there.
Well, let's keep it moving. Moving on to the Final Four. Final Four. We're here. We're out of March. We're in April now, and these are where the games count.
Absolutely. This is the biggest stage.
We got the Bulldogs, Seminoles, Bears, Fighting Illini. We're opposing on both games.
On both ends of the spectrum here. We do not see eye to eye. So, let's start in the East-West square down between the Zags and the Seminoles. This is where the unbeaten gets beat. This is where I cannot give it to the Zags anymore. The Seminoles are too athletic. The Seminoles can get up again, another team that can get up and down the floor and fly. And they have guard play. Now, granted, Gonzaga has all those attributes as well. The West Coast Conference, Spike.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The West Coast Conference. I never will buy it. I never will be sold on Gonzaga cutting the nets until they can actually play a whole competitive season. I have the Seminoles upsetting and shocking the world, punching their ticket to the big dance. Tell me otherwise.
I'm going to tell you otherwise. Obviously, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen an unbeaten team lose in the Final Four back when Kentucky and Wisconsin went at it. But I don't know if it's going to happen again. I got the Zags unbeaten, heading to the national championship. You know, we both were on the same page. That West Coast Conference is not strong enough. But boy, did they have a wake-up call against BYU, and that's still in the back of my head. Coach Mark Few is not going to let that go to any of his players. They have 3 top 10 Wooden Award watchers on their team. They got a squad.
They do.
And I got them.
They sure do.
I got them in the final game.
But so do the Seminoles. So we'll see. We'll see who makes it. We'll see who gets there. It could be neither. That's what's so great about March.
We're opposing on this side as well. We got Baylor and Illinois on this side, but we both have different option right here. And my option, one of the most mesmerizing teams I've watched all season long, and one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. Give me the Baylor Bears.
Do you agree is the title of the show, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't.
All right.
I don't. I do not, Spike.
Okay.
I am riding the Fighting Illini all the way. All the way. Because guess what? They're also one of the best three-point shooters in the entire country. They rebound better than almost anybody in the country. And the three ball. The three ball, the three ball, the three ball, I'll put emphasis on it. Yes, this Baylor team is a force to be reckoned with, has been all year. But I've said it so many times on this show. It's about who gets hot at the right time. And in my opinion, Illinois is the hotter team. So, yeah, it's gonna be a scrap it out, absolute battle to the end. 2 number 1 seeds going at it in the Final Four. I can't freaking wait if it happens. But I got the Fighting Illini in the dance.
We got the final 2, and we both have different matchups. We'll have our national champions, our respective national championships, next. Jace, we're here. 1 final game, 2 final teams. We've got opposing viewpoints on whose name is going to be right here. We've got opposing viewpoints on whose name are going to be right here. I'll kick us off. You got the Gonzaga Bulldogs, the undefeated team, against one of my favorite teams, the Baylor Bears. And we both mentioned it earlier and who was going to win this matchup. And I think we can both decide this matchup down here in the Final Four is going to be phenomenal.
Absolutely. Both are.
I think whoever wins this matchup is going to take down whoever's over here. Maybe the Zags, maybe the Seminoles. Give me the Baylor Bears. After a phenomenal season, undefeated for a while until late in Big 12 play, I want them right here. My national champion, the Baylor Bears.
I disagree. As I said just a second ago, I got the Fighting Illini all the way for reasons I just stated. Their guard play, their ability to shoot the 3 ball, their ability to rebound, their athleticism. They're a complete team. And I believe the most complete team in the country, which is why I have them right here, cutting down the nets against the Seminoles. You got the Gonzaga Bulldogs. I'm not sold on that. But either way, the Zags, the unbeaten, number 1 overall team in the entire field, they're not getting it done. At least we can agree on that.
We can agree on that.
So,
and folks, I've got the Baylor Bears cutting down the nets. You've got the Fighting Illini. That's going to do it for Do You Agree, the sports talk show, our special edition, our March Madness edition with the official bracket. I'm your host, Collin Spiker, alongside my co-host and best friend, Jason Hoffman. We will talk to you guys next week.
cut down the nets. Let's do it.